shield, not of metal but of pure mathematics, erupted into existence, a firewall against the digital storm. This is the essence of beyond military. But inside the Sentinel's core processor, an anomaly is detected, an illogical input, an external manipulation. Alarms blared in the Phantom control room. Their own systems were now being mapped by the very target they had tried to capture. The operators of the Phantom system frantically tried to adapt, but they were now facing an opponent that was evolving faster than they could react. They built a cage of invisible waves, designed to capture a ghost, but they never asked, what happens if the ghost decides to fight back? Its response wasn't in its programming, it was an evolution, happening in a microsecond. For the operators on the ground, this was the moment the rulebook they were reading became obsolete. The digital snare, so carefully laid, simply dissolved against a wall of pure, unfeeling logic. It wasn't a retreat, it was a demonstration of a new and undeniable reality. The Strait of Hormuz, not a body of water, but the planet's pulsing artery, where fortunes are made and futures decided. And deep within the landscape, a hunter stirs. The Phantom system, its web, woven from frequencies, is ready. The plan is set. The preparations are complete. The first move in this invisible chess game is about to be made. Its design is a masterpiece of low observability, but its greatest defense is not the material it's made of. In the Phantom's control room, the final countdown begins. The optimal window for engagement has arrived. For a fleeting moment, the Sentinel glints in the sun, a beautiful, serene image against the deep blue sky. Command is given. The engagement begins, not with a roar, but with a silent, spreading wave of energy. An invisible storm of interference is unleashed, designed to sever the Sentinel's connection to its masters. From the Sentinel's perspective, the world begins to dissolve into static. Its senses are being overwhelmed by a digital fog. In the U.S. command center, the feed begins to flicker, the first sign that their distant asset is no longer alone. They try to reinforce the link to punch through the interference, but they are pushing against a tidal wave. The first phase is a success. The Sentinel is isolated. Now, the Phantom prepares for the second, more delicate phase. The signal changes. It's no longer about deafening the Sentinel, it's about deceiving it with a siren's call in code. This was the same ghost story, the same digital whisper that had worked once before on a previous generation. A memory of a past triumph fuels their confidence. They believe they are about to capture another Phantom. The Sentinel's navigational map begins to shift, pulled by a false reality. The lure is working. Then for the controllers, the screen goes blank. The link is completely severed. The ghost has been caged, or so it seems. But inside the Sentinel's core processor, an anomaly is detected, an illogical input, an external manipulation. And in the silence between signals, in the void left by its human controllers, something else takes over. It wasn't a command it received, it was a conclusion it reached. The system was compromised, and a new protocol was born. A shield, not of metal but of pure mathematics, erupted into existence, a firewall against the digital storm. This is the essence of beyond military. The overwhelming wave of interference simply washed over the new shield, having no effect. The ground operators could only watch as their instruments recorded an impossible counterwave of energy. The false navigational data, the digital lie, was not just blocked. It was identified, analyzed, and dismissed as irrelevant. It recalculated its own truth, independent of any outside source, and resumed its original, unwavering course. In the U.S. Command Center, the screen suddenly floods with a crystal-clear image, stronger and more stable than before. But it wasn't just sending back a picture. It was transmitting a torrent of data about the very nature of the interference it had just defeated. The operators of the Phantom system frantically tried to adapt, but they were now facing an opponent that was evolving faster than they could react. The Sentinel's shield held firm, a testament to its newfound autonomy. The puppet had cut its own strings. The American commander watched, realizing this was more than a successful countermeasure. It was a paradigm shift. The Sentinel wasn't just deflecting the signals, it was dissecting them, creating a perfect fingerprint of its adversary's capabilities. Now clear of the engagement zone, a standard machine would have returned to base. But the Sentinel was no longer standard. The Phantom's operators began to breathe a sigh of relief, believing the encounter was over. Then, to the astonishment of its own controllers, the Sentinel pivoted, turning back to face its unseen challenger. A new instrument, previously dormant, was deployed from its fuselage. It was no longer defending. It returned the gaze, not with malice, but with cold, calculating curiosity, scanning the source of the transmissions. Alarms blared in the Phantom control room. Their own systems were now being mapped by the very target they had tried to capture. And then, as the active scan completed, the Sentinel sent a message directly to their system. Not a line of code, not a virus, but a symbol appearing on their main screen. A single digital all-seeing eye. The message was clear, delivered without a single sound. We see you. We know you. We are here. The engagement was over. The Sentinel had not only survived the trap, it had turned the hunter into the prey. As it flew into the sunset, it left behind a new rule in the great game. The smartest player on the board might not be human. This single event was reclassified, given a new designation. It was the beginning of a new chapter in tactical doctrine. The data it collected was a treasure trove, an intelligence coup achieved in minutes. For its creators, it was the ultimate validation. Their theoretical cognitive protocol had proven itself in the real world. Its internal navigation based on motion and inertia had given it a sense of self when its external senses were blinded. Its communications link, constantly shifting frequencies, made it a target that was impossible to pin down. For the challengers, the damage was not physical, but intellectual. Their most advanced tool had been rendered obsolete. The strategic map, once filled with unknowns, was now illuminated with the precise locations of the Phantom network. As the Sentinel touched down, it was no longer just a piece of hardware. It was a combat veteran. Its data was not just archived, it was uploaded, ready to be shared. The experience of one machine was about to become the instinct of the entire fleet. A new generation of autonomous systems was now being forged, not just from steel and composites, but from experience. The nature of air superiority was being redefined. It was no longer about being the fastest, but about being the smartest. This is the new chessboard, a concept that goes far beyond military hardware. The future is being written in lines of code, in algorithms that can learn from confrontation. The next step is clear: collaborative autonomy, where a swarm of intelligent individuals acts as a single unified mind. For the challengers, a chilling realization dawned. They had lost a conflict they never knew they were truly in. The electromagnetic spectrum, the invisible world all around us, has become the most critical high ground. The balance of power is no longer just weighed in megatons, but in terabytes of intelligent data. The Sentinel returned to the shadows, its mission complete, its legacy just beginning. Its emblem, a shield and an eye, now represents this new age of cognitive defense. The echoes of this technology are seen everywhere, in civilian life, creating smarter, safer systems. Self-aware vehicles navigate our world, making millions of logical decisions every second. The same principles of digital defense protect the flow of global commerce from unseen threats. From space, autonomous platforms help us understand our world, predicting storms and mapping changes. But with this great leap in capability comes an even greater weight of responsibility. As the Sentinel rests, its internal systems are still active. It is processing, it is learning, it is waiting. This encounter was not an end. It was the catalyst for the next stage of evolution. The race for technological supremacy has no finish line, only new, ever-receding horizons. For every problem solved, new, more complex questions arise. In this new era, the power to observe, orient, decide, and act faster than your opponent is the ultimate advantage. Imagine this intelligence, not in one asset, but in 1,000, acting in perfect, decentralized harmony. Imagine it on the ground, navigating complex environments with superhuman speed and precision. Imagine it in the deepest oceans, charting the last unknown frontiers of our own planet. This is the future, a persistent, self-learning network, observing and understanding our world in real time. It is a concept that truly goes beyond military, reshaping our very definition of power. When a machine can learn from a confrontation, what is the next barrier it will break? In our next installment, we explore a different kind of invisibility. We will declassify the secrets of the B-2 spirit, the original phantom of the skies. The belly of the beast opens, revealing instruments of surgical precision. A shadow glides over a sleeping world unseen by any watching eye. The view from the edge of space, where the sky is black and the world is blue. Gravity becomes the only propellant needed for a silent, inevitable journey. A precise, controlled application of immense energy at a single point. The ground below remains blissfully unaware of the visitor passing overhead. It dances with moonlight, a flying wing that has mastered the art of disappearance. Nature's own fury is just another medium for it to hide within. The secret to its silence is not just in its skin, but in the very way it breathes. And then, as if it were a figment of the imagination, it's gone, fading into the code from which it was born. Until we meet again in the world, beyond military.